All right, good day to everybody. Blessings on your life. It's another day that the Lord has made. Um, Let me clear the air just real quick. I ain't went nowhere. I got some calls this week, and uh, folks was like, "Did I quit? Did I stop my face to face?" And I'm like, "No." I said, "If you look," I said, "I haven't missed a week in you know 2 years probably in running." I did limit my Wednesdays because I've been busy doing some other things. So you have not seen me on Wednesdays in the last probably 3 Wednesdays, maybe 4 Wednesdays. I'm not sure now, but I have not went anywhere. This is my assignment. This is my calling. A portion of it, right? Until I do something different. So yeah, I'm still here. So don't. I'll let you know if things change. I'll let you know. Today, I want to talk. I want to have a candid conversation, and I want to talk about something that is uh, very germane. I'm looking for another word to say, but it's very important to all of us, and that is our legacy. That is our legacy, and I want to have a very candid and pointed conversation today because there's some things that is happening around us and we really need to take note of it. This is uh, pointed more towards the African American community. However, everybody can glean from it. I often say when there's a house on fire, you go to the house that is burning um, the worst. I'm going to say there may be a few flames in other areas, but if there's a house with 5 children and I mean the house is just lit up with fire, then the first place that you probably want to go to is that particular house. If there's others where they burning stuff in the front yard, well, yeah, we need to address that, but it can wait. I want to talk today from the subject shoebox beneficiaries. I'm gonna say that again: shoebox beneficiaries. Now, this subject has been birthed in me and out of me through experience and from what I have been seeing lately, along with me getting a little bit older. There's some things that I'm really starting to look at because of my age, and when I take note of my contemporaries, when I take note of those that I grew up with, and uh, those folks are passing away at what I would consider a very young age. It's alarming, but it's reality. And people ain't living, to be 85, 95 no more. As Mr. Brown would say, people dying ain't never died before, Cobra. So, with that in mind, we have to um, be unselfish, and we have to be mindful, and we have to put some things in order. And so I want to talk about that today because most of us, we live from a beneficiary state out of a shoebox. What do I mean by that? That means that mama and them, daddy and them, somebody, they left something and we all go searching to the closet. In the closet, we look through suit pockets, pant pockets, all kind of stuff, drawers, but mainly it's in a shoebox. It's like, well, she kept stuff in shoeboxes, or he kept stuff in shoeboxes. It was the same thing when my father passed in 2022. There was things that was very pertinent um, uh, to the estate that was supposedly in the shoeboxes. However, I never found them in the shoeboxes. I'm not saying that they were not there. I'm saying that I didn't find them. Did somebody benefit from it? Perhaps they did. Now, that's important too, because that's not fair in many regards. And so let me get to the part that's necessary, because I'm getting ready to start meddling, because I ain't through with that other thing yet. Um, so what we really need to understand as it relates to our transition, our exit from this particular place into our final frontier, if you will, until Jesus comes back. That is, we either go to heaven or we go to hell, but our souls will rest somewhere, and where that's going to be, it'd be based upon the choices that we make while we're still living. Um, I I wanted to make some changes based upon what I said earlier. Folks dying around me, and dying relatively quickly. One of the things that I notice is that most of us, of our community, when we die, it's hard to go and ask questions because we can't talk afterwards. So when we're asking or wondering about where's this at, where's that at, or the other, most of the times, mom's the word, right? That means that people that's dead ain't gonna talk to you about what they did with certain things. Let me just make mention of this. In my research, what I discovered was that people have left here with tremendous wealth, or tremendous riches. Let's put it in the category of perhaps riches. Okay, and I don't want to get into the wealth piece of it because the wealth is much more weightier than the riches, but we need to look at wealth and riches. But people have left here with um, mass amounts of riches that have not been recovered, especially in our community. You say, well, why do you say that, or how do you know that? Through my research, what I've discovered is most people like that look like us, because of the way that we have been cultured, meaning that we have been brought up in a society whereby we hoard a lot. And when I say hoard, I don't mean hoard from the standpoint that we have a lot, or hoard may not be the right word. What we do is we hide a lot. We don't disclose everything that we have. Why? Because we spend a lifetime trying to attain. When we're trying to attain, we don't disclose what we're doing because of fear that if we disclose what we're doing, then, you know, Jerry, Barry, Cherry, uh, Carrie, Scary, all of them, they gonna want a piece. Why? Because we're not used to having a whole lot. We're not used to managing a whole lot. Some people would argue that, and my response to that would be that because they would say that no, those that do have a little something, they want people to know that they have a little something. Well, those are poor people. Now it's different classes. Poor people, they do try to blow smoke about what they have, and usually they try to act rich. Poor people try to act rich. Rich people try to act wealthy, and wealthy people, they act like they are poor. Okay, we'll say that again. Poor people try to act rich. Rich people try to act wealthy, and wealthy people try to act poor. But in essence, for most people that don't have a whole lot, which really speaks to the masses that they don't have a lot, they act like they have more than they do. And so this is the reason why you'll see them going out buying a Mercedes. They'll go out and they'll buy these very expensive bags and shoes and all this stuff. And they don't have the means in order to do that. I tell people, my suggestion is, if you're going to go out and buy say a $2,000 Louis purse, you should be able to buy, if you're going to buy one, you should be able to buy a minimum of 10. If you're going to be able to buy a house, then if you're going to buy that house, you should be able to make at least 1 year of payments on that house. If you're going to buy the house, that will let you know whether or not you can actually afford that house. Other than that, it puts you in a different category that means that possibly you are just trying to keep up with the Joneses. I'm not saying that you don't need a house. I'm not saying that you don't need a purse. I'm not saying that you don't need shoes or a car, but you may not need that type of shoe or that type of car, or perhaps that type of house, if you don't have reserve, if you will. I'm not talking about recreational cash. I'm just talking about a reserve for your standard of living, or for your income. Okay, let's get back to the subject, because now I'm getting into a financial thing, and I don't want to get into that. I want to talk about estates, and I want to talk about shoebox beneficiaries, right? Because what I think is a travesty for a lot of us is that when we leave, people are scurrying around trying to figure out what you have, who you were, all these different things. They're trying to figure it all out. And a way to get around that would be to, establish an uh, estate planning. You should have a will. You should have a trust. Now, this is regardless of, your status. You should, if you have $1,000 in the bank, if you have $500 in the bank, you should have uh, something where it is appropriated properly. Now, why do I say that? And this is very crucial to my little message today. If you don't, what happens is that the wealthy continues to get wealthier and the poor continue to get more poor. Why do I say that? If there's $5,000 inside of a bank account, and it's a bank account that you amassed a little savings, but when you did it, it was between you and the system. When I say the system, I'm talking about the banks or an investor, whoever that may be. But usually those people don't look like you. And what happens is, let's say it's 5,000, let's just say it's 10,000, let's just say it's 100,000. What'll happen is once you go and nobody knows but you and them, they ain't telling nobody. A lot of money and riches has been thrown away, has been misplaced, has been in the wrong hands for countless years because of people not knowing, because of us running and being afraid or what have you. And so the banks now, what they do is they wait. Okay, nobody claimed this money after 5 years, after 10 years. There was um, um, you may have a CD that matures at a certain time. Maybe the CD matures in 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years. I don't know what it is, but if it matures in 15 years and somebody dies after they, invest in the CD, well, 15 years, it's going to be there. Let's just say that it's $20,000. Yeah. Well, you are waiting on a maturity date, but if a person expires, then, that's a different game. You still need to know what a person has, right? And so the best way to do that is you plan your estate. Somebody needs to know. So you have to start having these conversations. One of the things that I'm doing now, because I am the number one guy for mom's the word. I ain't telling nobody nothing, because if you talk about being in hiding, I'm gonna hide, because it's like, somebody trying to get me, right? We all done had stuff that happened to us in life, and when life happens to us, we get challenged, and then when it comes down to certain things that we should do or ways that we should behave, we have a visceral response behind it. But after looking at these cases where people have transitioned and they left a lot of money, and understanding that a lot of that wealth was absorbed back into the system. And when I say back into the system, is back into the wealthy that already have all of it anyway. And just a footnote, the wealthy knows where all the poor money is at. They know that, but they ain't saying nothing. Now, there's some structures, I'm not saying that carte blanche. There are some structures that they do try to notify people as much as they can, especially, if you have a beneficiary or something like that, that's a different thing. But I'm talking about money that is out there and is just in an account. It's just in an account sitting there, right? And it could be a substantial amount of money that's inside of an account, because a lot of us, we don't know. When I say us, I don't just mean us. I'm just talking about people that don't have a whole lot. We can't invest in a whole lot, so we might have a savings account or something. Well, you just have that. It's just there. So you've been gone for 2 years, 3 years. The savings account is still there. It's waiting on somebody. Now, here's the other piece to that. If you have next to kin and all that stuff, right? Who's going to get that money is the people that's going to get that money. That's the system is going to reabsorb that money. If you do have next to kin and they never know about it, then because if it can be probated if you do have somebody next to kin. But a lot of times next to kin don't speak up. They don't know. You could have an account in Arizona, you live in Ohio, you could have an account in California in a bank that's not known in the Midwest or something like that. I mean, I just don't know. You could be a world traveler and you could do this and do that all over the place, and something happens to you. And if it does, then you just out there and your money just out there. And so I'm saying this as just a quick, kind of drive by when we look at this. Let's rethink this, especially as we get older. Let's start having this conversation. It's a conversation that we need to have with our children. And it's a difficult conversation for a whole lot of us because that means that you have to expose a lot about yourself. I'm doing that right now because we ain't used to it. I'm just being very transparent. I really don't want you knowing, but so much. But at this point, I'm like, there's nothing that nobody can do. So let's talk about what some of the things that I may have now. And having those things, what you want to do if you don't have a safe deposit box or something like that, you want to have a safekeeping area where things are safe kept, or documents that will have um, um, passwords, security words, all the stuff that you may need to get inside of an account. To even more foolproof from a security standpoint, you can even add somebody to some of your accounts. And that way you won't have to worry about no probate or nobody else, because if you go away, then there's somebody else's name that is on that account. So you can do that as well. I'm just saying there's a lot of ways to handle your affairs, but you need to start talking about it. You need to start thinking about it now, because sure enough, one day you're going to expire. And when you do expire, you can't talk to nobody and tell them, because you can't take it with you. And you can't come back and say, this is over here, that's over there. I'm experiencing, I'll be done. I'm experiencing that right now. I'm probating my father's estate for the second time, because there was money that was missed the first time around. And I wish I would have known. By not knowing, you incur additional attorney fees and all types of things. I don't wish probate on nobody. It's not a fun thing to go through, but it's a necessary thing if we don't have things in place. And lawyers, they prey on people like that. They don't want you to. When they come, they want to give you a big bear hug, and they show all type of sympathy, not empathy. They show all type of sympathy for you, this, that, and the other. Next thing they know, they listen to you, and they writing as they're listening to you talk, and then they say, well, this is what it's going to take, Mr. Eatman or Mr. Johnson, whatever it is, and let's start here. We gonna need about 7,000 down. Okay, let's start right here, and then depending on what happens, we'll go up plus or minus whatever. Usually it don't ever go down. And so you just kind of left at the mercy. Then you got to pay other fees that's on top of that, for with taxes and doing title searches and all kind of other stuff that you're going to have to do. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you as food for thought. It's not a big thing. This ain't no spiritual thing, but it's just shoebox beneficiaries. And I was saying, let's get away from being a shoebox. Everybody run into the closet. We don't need to continue this insanity of running to the closet. We're not prepared for final expenses when somebody dies. We got this thing about anteing up. We got to do stuff like that. We're just not ready for a lot of things. And sometimes that is it's the best that we can do. So I'm not knocking anybody, but those that can do better and don't do better, that's the problem. Prince passed away with a tremendous amount of wealth that had to be probated. Why is that? Michael Jackson, probate. Why is that? James Brown, probate. Why is that? Marvin Gaye, probate. Why is that? You can even look at some of the gospel singers that I know that has passed away. I don't want to get too deep into that, but left and their stuff wasn't in order. There's something to be said when the Bible tells us to get your house in order. So I'm not saying this to scare anybody. I'm not saying this because I'm gonna die or nothing like this. I'm just saying that it's real, and it's a conversation that we all need to look at a little bit closer, especially if we're getting a little bit older. It's just very necessary for us to do it. And especially for our children, it's important for our legacy. Our legacy has a lot of different components that is attached to it. And one of them is, your wealth, your retirement, your pension, all these things that you worked very hard for. You don't want that to end up back in the hands of the system. That's the reason why the poor keep getting poor and the rich keep getting richer. Number one, they control the system. They make the rules for the system. And so again, they know what's out there and what's not. And so it's easy for them. If you got $30,000 in the bank and ain't nobody saying nothing for 5 years, they use your 30,000 and they capitalize on that 30,000 because they know how to invest it. At any time, they can give the 30,000 that somebody comes and claims. They can give it back. So for them, it's not that great of a risk. So let's go ahead and use it. They've studied our psyche. They just about know whether or not we're gonna make claims. They know that we don't talk. They know that we don't plan. They know that we don't have estates. They know that we don't have trust. We don't have wills. They know that we don't have things set up and we're together, have things in place. They know that. They know we have safe deposit boxes. They know that our children don't know everything. They know all that. Why? Because they've studied us. And so what I'm saying is, let's unravel this whole thing and let's try to do a better job with what we have worked for, us personally and for our families going forward. Okay. I hope this little message has been a blessing to you. God bless you. We'll talk soon.